And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, Darren here, Cross Timbers Farm. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles. Super glad to have you with us this beautiful, beautiful early spring day. It's still winter time technically, but man, I'm telling you, the weather lately has been really nice. We've had days in the upper 60s and even a few low 70s. We're supposed to get a bunch of rain tonight. Winter's probably not over. We'll get some more cold weather coming along, but for right now, it's been really nice. And actually our hay field, our orchard grass, and our tall fescue, and some of our clovers. Well, I haven't really noticed much clovers yet, but our other cool season grasses are actually starting to green up. I'll give you a few of that in a minute. But next on our to-do list is a major fencing job. We're getting ready to start electrifying our back pasture. We've got to get this pasture fenced and secure for our goat herd to move back here to get them off of our hay fields when they start greening up. So we're looking forward to this project. Fencing's a lot of work, especially if you do it right. You can just go along and slap up, some fence posts and take some fencing steeples and smack up some barbed wire, or just throw up some insulators and just, do a so-so job. And it maybe isn't that difficult, but if you do it right and build a good fence, it's time consuming and expensive. Since all this C-word mess started several years ago, materials and stuff is just skyrocketed. And if you've built any fences lately, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, fence prices and fencing supplies, everything from your wire to energizers to grounding rod kits to even, your insulators has just went straight through the roof. $500 fencing job now cost you $1,000. It seems it's went up that much, but in any event, we're getting ready to start fencing our rear pasture here. We've been needing to do this for some time, and now it's finally come around where we can do it. And we've got a couple of weeks to get this done, to get them off of our hay fields that we have up front here toward the barn. And we have a hay field back here, but we're going to go ahead and electrify the whole perimeter fence around this back pasture. And then we're going to use poly rope and step-in post to do some rotational, and that way we can fence them off the area, and we will not let them on this top section where we are going to actually cut some hay. We're going to start a hay field in here to grow hay. It's really good ground. It's good grass. It's already got a really good stand. It's got, this section here has more tall fescue than it does orchard grass, and we're going to try to remedy that. It may be this fall. I like to seed in the fall. I don't like to seed in the spring. But come next fall, we may frost seed this section with nothing but orchard grass and red clover. So to try to get those stands really started and get them to take hold and take off. So our grass is starting to green up, and man, I'm excited. We got a lot of stuff coming up. So we're going to get started with some of this fencing. I don't have nowhere even close to all my supplies in yet, but I do have a few things that left over from our last fencing project. So we're going to go ahead and start putting in some insulators and things of that nature, so when our wire and the rest of our equipment arrives, our supplies from Ken Cove. We ordered a lot of fencing supplies from Ken Cove yesterday, and they should be here soon. I love that 12.5 gauge soft wire from Ken Cove, and that's what we're going with. We've used it in years past, and it works for our application phenomenal. We love it. So it should be here in 3 or 4 days, whatever, but we're going to go ahead and get started with what supplies we do have left over, and it'll give us a jump start on our fencing. Stick with us. This is going to be a pretty big project. This fencing project may consist of a whole series, because it's a one-man show. My wife, Susan, she helps some when she can. She's a farm girl, and she's not at all worried about getting her hands dirty and getting out and working on a farm. So she'll help when she can, but the main part of this will be probably my project, and looking forward to getting started. This may be, like I said, maybe a whole series of videos. We already have a lot of our old locust posts already in place. The barbed wire is already in place, and we're not about to take that barbed wire down. We're just going to run our electric strands between the barbed wire strands, and they will be outset. The barbed wire will be, here will be a strand of barbed wire, and the electric will be outset from it, so they hit the electric way before they ever get near the barbed wire. All right, we're going to start putting up some insulators. Okay, we're going to start attaching our wood post insulators, and we use the Dare wood post insulators, and they extend your wire almost 2 inches past your post, and our barbed wire is all the way against the post, so our electric wire is going to be sticking out at least 2 inches from the electric, and we found that works really good in our other part of pasture to keep the goat herd off the fence and away from the barbed wire. The barbed wire strands are already there, and if we took them down, we'd just have to run another strand of smooth wire through there. It's just a visual deterrent that there's more strands and there's not a hole, a bigger gap that the goats can look and think, I might get through that. If you have that visual deterrent, the strands that have no electricity on them, just filling those voids, it's enough, we found, and it works really good. So we're going to evenly space these from our wood post. We're going to use a tape, and when I come back out next time, I need to bring just a ruler. Okay, most of these wood post insulators, and they come with nails. We do not use nails. We use exterior decking screws to attach these insulators, and one reason we do, it's twofold. The first reason is they attach a lot better. You can place them more precise without hammering. It doesn't jar on your fence posts. And also, we have a few treated pine wood posts. The majority of our posts are locust, and you can't drive a nail in them. That wood is that hard. Even a fencing steeple, you can drive it in maybe just a 1/4 inch, 5/16, something like that, and it just starts bending over. That wood is so hard. We use the screws, and if we have to, we drill a pilot hole to run these screws into. Works really good for us. All right there will be our first insulator. Perfect. First insulator is in. Keep right on going. It adds some expense to your fence using screws. You know, the bag of insulators comes with nails, and then we have to go separately and buy screws. But it's worth it. I'd rather use the screws any day of the week. And like I said, when we start going with the, hey Raven, when we start going with on down the fence row here and all these locust posts, I think we've got about 30 of them down this one section. Hey, chill, puppy. When you go down and get into these locust posts, that locust wood is so hard, and that's why they last so good. What you doing, huh? What you doing, puppy? What you barking at? What you barking at? She wants to come over here with me. She can't come over here until our fence is done. Okay, we're going with 4 strands and 4 strands of electric fence here. Electric smooth wire plus our 4 strands of barbed wire will give us an 8-strand fence. And we have found that 8 strands is almost perfect for our goat herd. Okay, there's one post done. About 50 to go. Right there is one of our major issues with the fencing in this back pasture with no electricity, no electric fencing. Deer. Man, they jump through our fence and go through this barbed wire fence and tear it up constantly. And adding this electric to the fence for our goats, and then turning our LDGs back here, or LGDs, our livestock guard dogs back here. Once the electric fence is done, this should end that problem. I can't tell you how many times I've had to repair this fence because of deer. As you can see behind me, our hay fields are greening up. We've spent the whole winter applying manure, chicken manure and goat manure on our pastures, specifically our hay fields where we're intending to cut hay. And this is our hay field here that we didn't cut last year. And this will be the first year cutting it for us. We had some other folks cut it for us years ago, but it's not been cut in several years. And it's got a lot of organic material. I think I done a video on this pasture back late last fall. But it's looking really good. As you can see behind me, it's greening up nicely. And I'm hoping gonna make some #1 hay. So we got a good start on our fencing with what materials we had. And I'll show you a little bit of that. On our T-post, we use a combination in our pastures of wood post and T-post. All of our corners are braced and they're wood. Most of them's locust wood some of them that we hand split and put in. Then we use a combination of T-post down the runs where there's no corners or anything. And every corner and every dip in the fence or up a little rise or something like that, we put in wood post. Or anytime the fence makes any kind of a turn, even slight turn, we put wood posts in. But where the fence runs really straight, we just use T-post. It's more economical, and they're quick to drive in the ground, and they work really well as long as your fence is straight. If you start trying to make turns with T-post, you run into problems. But I'll turn the camera around and you can see the insulators that we're using. Okay, these insulators, as you can see, they're 2-inch, and they stick out 2 inches from the T-post. Now our bob wire is all the way against the post, as you can see. And you come up and our insulator, it's going to hold our electric wire, is 2 inches out. And we have 4 strands of bob wire, and we're going with 4 more strands of smooth electrical wire. 12.5 gauge electric fence wire. So we got to start, and we've ran out of materials till our order comes from Ken Cove, which should be here soon. So we did get a start and used up what we had on hand. Thanks for being with us here today. Just a quick update that we're starting our fencing project, and we have decided to go a different route with our fencing charger, our energizer, to energize this fence. We're still staying with Parmac. I am very satisfied with Parker McCrory fence energizers, and we're still going to go solar, but we're going to go a little different route this time than the Solar Pack 12. And I still have absolutely no issues with that Solar Pack 12 fence charger. It is a fantastic charger. However, we're going to go with one that we're going to assemble and build ourselves. We're not building the component, the actual parts, but we're buying individual components, and we're going to put them all together to kind of make our own DIY solar fence charger that I think will give more power. And because this back pasture back here is in coyote country, and I've had a game camera up in this back pasture here for a good part of the winter, and the predators that are around this back pasture back here is concerning when you're getting ready to move a goat herd in here, especially our bucks. But we'll be moving probably Raven back here with them. Raven's 125 pounds at least protection machine, and so she'll be back here with them. But anyway, we're wanting to go with just a little bit more power on our fence back here to keep in the goats, but also to keep out predators. It's worked really well in our front pasture, but back here, this back pasture is kind of isolated, as you can see, and away from our barn. Our barn is way over there, and so we want to protect this back pasture a little bit better. So we're going to go with a little higher joule charger, and one that should put out more power and better range, so to keep this fence back here really, really hot. Just for protection, to keep stuff in and keep stuff out. All right, thanks for being with us today as we kind of get our feet wet, get started here building this fence. So we're going to do a small series on this fence build and build a good quality fence that'll work and work as it's supposed to and work right. Thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it. God bless, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.